She lives and breathes HR, talks about real HR for a change. HR coach, managing director of successful HR management company Oculus, Louise Kennedy. Thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me on your show today.
So that was a ridiculous shorthand of an extensive career. Tell us who you are, Scilla. Where are you from?
From where I am. So I'm Louise Kennedy. So as you said, own a business called Oculus HR. And we're based in the northeast of England, so live in the Sunderland area. So we kind of are a HR management company that provide a whole array of HR support. So anything from your transactional day-to-day side of things, working with small businesses, through to growth businesses, which is a great area for us to work with, and also businesses that have already got HR departments, and we fit in and we do all sorts of work around that. Myself, I've been working in HR for 25 or so years, somewhere around that area, and we originally was in manufacturing, the automotive. We've got obviously the big Nissan site in the northeast. I was working for a tier one supplier to Nissan. So got a real good wealth of experience. And then when we were closing the site down, took the decision 11 years ago now to set the business up. And it was one of those make or break, see how it goes, give it an opportunity. Never know if you never try. So it was one of those moments, and the business has just grown from strength to strength to strength. So we are, I should always say, multi-award winning now. So we have several awards under our belt of things like Entrepreneur of the Year within the local area last year. Small Business of the Year. We were shortlisted for the 5 in the UK in the Personnel Today Awards for HR consultancy. So we've had great successes in them. We've got another one tomorrow night where it's for the NECC for Small Business of the Year. So we've got kind of all sorts going on, but it's because it's, we do live and breathe. I do live and breathe the kind of the HR, the model of what we are, but we're very much about growth, and we're very much about on a real strong business journey at the moment around our growth. Our team has expanded and got another new member on the team starting next week. So yeah, we're very much on a great growth projection as well.
Well, that's fantastic. Have you got your posh frock looked out?
Well, they're laughing because actually, no, I haven't got that finished yet. Just keep getting things delivered. Keep getting things delivered. Got shoes and another dress coming today.
Excellent. It's a lot easier for boys. I tell you, it's a lot easier for Scotsmen as well. I just put my kilt on and it's done. Oh, that's fancy. Yes, it's not the same thing I've worn for the last 30 years. Well,
but ideal, isn't it? Get the same things out.
So, same thing, same it. I got my kilt when I was 18. I did have to have it taken out though when I got married. It was like 30 something more. The bone structure is different. I was big bone. That's my excuse.
That's what it'll be. Just the change of it all, isn't it?
That's it. So, I've worked and sold in and around HR, learning development for many, many years. So I have great respect for really good HR, great respect for the teams who make a difference, and absolutely no damned time for the fluffy stuff that just gets in your way, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about real HR with a capital R, and you breathe HR, that's great. Now, it can be a rarefied air, but it can also be toxic in my experience, and that it gets up its own backside and it gets in the way of stuff. Tell me that's not that, and I know that's not you, otherwise we wouldn't be talking.
No, I think it's very much about the approach that you have with it. So, as I say, we have all sorts of different size businesses. So when you've got somebody taking the first employee on, we like to work with them to be able to kind of really just say, let's get some basics in place. You need to do the right thing, and let's just get a contract of employment in so everybody knows where they stand. And I think, as we were talking about before, kind of standards and expectations. That's what's important to a business, because it underpins the culture. So I'm just starting to work with a larger business at the moment, which is very well established within the area, and their culture is not right. It's being toxic. Nobody believes in HR at all. So I've kind of got this whole big mission that actually, yes, we need to do all the transactional side of things, which is, for me, that's kind of, putting in place policies, procedures and contracts. But actually they're desperate for that. The managers want to be able to manage the people, and they want to be able to do it consistently across the board. But in the same time that we're doing that, we're really then looking at the culture and actually what makes a little difference, So something simple in that particular business the other day, someone had had an operation. Let's just send them a little afternoon tea, through the post. Let's just make them feel kind of wanted and being part of the business. And so we did a couple of those last week. It's never been done for 2 or 3 years. The impact that's made so far, everyone's talking about it, and we've spent £40. So we've spent very little amount of money to make an impact, and actually talked about, things like someone intends to apply for the job. They might not be the right person for the job, but let's interview them. Let's encourage them to be part of the business and actually that they want to develop and then they want to grow. So for me, it all integrates in together. And yes, there is some fluffy stuff that's there, but actually underpinning your culture into your organisation really then grows everything else from it, because moving away the toxic part of it, taking that out or taking the negative impact that people have, because all it takes is for one or two people to kind of, start sending the wrong message about it. It's about how a business deals with that and how they manage the situations properly. And that's where we kind of come in. So yes, we'll come in and we'll do disciplinaries and grievances and attendance management issues. But actually, if we can underpin it by doing things like a Rising Stars program, or working with the leadership team around what their emotional intelligence is within the business and how it impacts upon the business, it kind of all comes together as being kind of a big cultural piece, which I think is really important for a business.
So you've got this. I see this. This is where I was interested in talking to you, and I'm glad we're now doing this. There's an intersection here between what I think most organizations see as the transactional. I call it the pay and the ration. It's transactional stuff that has to be in place. And at the other end of this, so you've got level one, which is make sure people get paid and they're not fired inappropriately. When you have to hire, you're doing it right. When you have to fire, you're doing it right. There's ways of doing it. Some of it's quite complex, some of it's legalistic, some of it's experiential, but there's a way of doing it. And having your experience come in and do that. At the other end of the scale, as you started to talk about there, you alluded to there's the toxicity of you have people being toxic. It's not an organization that's toxic, it's people.
Yeah.
The same way as you don't develop an organization, you don't transform an organization. You develop or you transform people. You want some group of an institution or an organization to do something different, you get the people to do something different, right? And that is the essence of it. We work in companies, so we work in the company of other people. The original definition of company is compan. It's with bread. It's people that I break bread with. It's this lovely idea of I eat with you. So that's who I can be in company with. And so the other end of the scale, you've got you're dealing with the human nature. So you've got the transactional, you've got the legalistic, and you've got the human nature. You've got the cultural, as you said, and culture eats up. When I find organizations struggling with their culture, I think they tend to lean on the transactional rather than recognizing that it's actually probably more simple, but also more deep-rooted than that. What's your experience in this scale?
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot of people understand. If you probably start from the point that some of these smaller businesses that we deal with, they don't know what to say, they don't know how to say it, they don't know what interactions they have. They know they have to sit over the desks from people day in, day out. So they want to make the interactions as positive as possible to try and keep the good culture on it. And I think that's where the structure enables them to be able to do that actually they've got a reference point to be able to say, well, actually, you're supposed to turn up for work on time, and you have to do that every day, or we don't want you playing with your mobile phone during the course of the day, we want you to be able to kind of focus on the work that I do. Some of those basic things aren't particularly wrote down anywhere, but actually some of these smaller businesses need that help and structure to be able to help them be able to manage people in situations. So it's kind of from very much of a starting point of that. As businesses grow bigger, like that company I was talking about the other day, the managers have all come to me independently and said, nobody's managing anybody across the business consistently. So they're doing something in their department, they're doing something in their department, they're doing something completely different. And actually people like to be treated the same, because what I always say is that everybody watches how everybody else is being treated in the interactions that I had. So, the manager is the person that's there. So, how it's said, how interactions take place, how things are said, how positive that they are or how negative that they are, or how quick they've lost their temper in a situation. All those things are being watched continuously. So it's for a business to ensure that actually having that structural element of it is underpinned, but it doesn't have to be wrapped up so tight that actually the business can't move and the employee can't move. I think it's the important bit. We'll say to businesses, take on what you need and what you can manage. Don't go in there and have a 150-page handbook, because actually nobody knows what's in there from an employer and employee point of view. Go in there and have something that's tangible, something that makes it work, something that people pick it up and actually they know what the business is about, who the customers are, what the interactions are going to have, what the ways of working are, who it is that are going to be their stakeholders during. Then move on to kind of what we expect from you and what's your standards, and then move on and have a little bit of an overview about what your policies are. Don't overload people, because actually if someone picks something up that's 20 pages long, they're more likely to read it than picking something up that's 150 pages long. And if you can start threading your culture through your business in documentation like that, being part of your appraisal process, your job description, it all becomes part of the higher value within your business.
Yeah. So you're starting simple. You're staging the development of understanding, I think, of the consumer in this case. So it's the employee in the company, and helping them to feel secure, safe in their expectations and in their employment. And how then do you, in your role as a HR coach, HR specialist, breather of HR, how then do you help companies translate that to growth? Because if I'm a business person, I want to make more money, pretty much.
Yeah. And it comes down to the bottom line of what it is that we do, so for what business actually need it to be. I think one of the things that we think is really important is going in at your senior level, because you want everyone to be on board, don't you? You want everybody from your senior level all the way through to kind of, the lower level people in the business. The whole business needs to be on board with it. And I think for a growth to take place, that really needs to happen. So we like working with growth businesses because we can go in and we can make an impact and we can help them with the structure as a fundamental, and then we start working with them as kind of, from a leadership point of view, and then working with their managers as well. So one of the things that we deliver on is emotional intelligence assessments and training. So an emotional intelligence assessment, and this works really well with a senior leadership group, and the company that I do the assessments with delivered it throughout the world. So it's kind of a really great tool to be able to do it, but starts looking at actually the individual. They're doing an online assessment, but it looks at self-confidence, self-knowing, self-resilience, optimism, the relationships that you build with others. So there's kind of 10 key components, and you're on a sliding scale of kind of, are you already there? Have you got that sorted, and is it a tick, and that you're doing that and you're actioning it every day? Are you at the bottom scale of it now? What they say with emotional intelligence is that it can continue to develop up until you're about 50. So where your IQ, pretty much by the time you get to 25, you're done. But by the time you're 50, you've got the opportunity to continue to develop your emotional intelligence. So actually, business leaders, as they're bringing people into a business, are looking at people who've really got that skill set now, as opposed to the skill set of kind of the technicality of being able to do the job, because the technicality can be learned, but actually to build that emotional intelligence skill set in there. So if you've got people that are drivers who've got a real good understanding of emotional intelligence, that's where it can be fed through the business, because you're treating people right, you're building the relationships right, internally within the business, you're having the correct interactions with people, you're respecting other people in turn respect you because you've earned the respect from it. So it kind of starts feeding into how you want it from a business perspective to be. So I think the emotional intelligence is kind of a key fundamental of it. But then also coming up with kind of actually, what is your people strategy? If you're going into a business that's growing, actually, what do you want it to look like now, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Let's make a plan to what that would be. And actually, you want your people, your most valuable asset, to help that growth to happen. So actually, what are you going to do to ensure that your retention rates are low, and that the recruitment that you bring in are the right people, that when you on board people, that they are the right people for the business? So there's so many aspects of it that can help. But I think understanding the business and understanding the leadership team is a good core part of it, to be able to feed the other elements of it in.
You talked about these different programs you help people build. For example, your Rising Star, something like that. So let's say I'm an established business, a couple of hundred folk, and there's some people that I ideally want to retain. Now, my approach would be to find out what those high potentials want, try and give it to them, and then gradually roll that out to the rest of the business. Because typically, if you've got somebody who's really good at something, you want to retain them and then share whatever it is you're doing with them with the rest of the business. What does something like a Rising Star program look like?
So we've just put our latest one together in one of the businesses that we've just had agreed, and so that's going to be kind of over a 6 months period. We're going to do an advertisement in the business to say we're doing this Rising Star program. If you're interested and it's something that you want to commit to over the next 6 months, please do apply for it, kind of show your interest in it. So there will be kind of an official process to go through, where there'll be a short interview in the loosest of terms, but kind of a short conversation with somebody senior within the business, talk about what their aspirations are and how it will benefit them. Then we'll make a selection of who the people are that's going to go on to it. And then this particular one's going to have 8 people that'll go on their first program of it. And we will start it off with the emotional intelligence, and we'll do some coaching as first protocol. Then we'll do kind of a day introducing it. And then we'll set up what it is from a business point of view that they need. So it might be about more information about the business, how all of the different sections interact with it. It might be around kind of, a structure within the business. It could be around culture. But what we're also going to feed into that is making sure that they've all got a mentor, that they'll have a couple of coaching sessions during the course of that 6 month period, kind of, emotional intelligence at the beginning, one in the middle, and then one at the end. But they'll also have a project, actually. So we'll look at some objectives within the business to be able to say, actually, if we get this team of people to be able to do something, let's get something that comes back to the bottom line to actually show that, yes, you are making an investment that these people have developed. But actually, we've had this project outstanding, so let's get them to do the project and let's get the integration of it and let's get them talking to the senior managers. So it starts bringing everybody together within it. But actually, the succession planning in the business is a really important aspect that not enough people or not enough businesses always look at. They always just think, well, we'd have to go external. So there's kind of some real benefit out of it. And we're very aware that obviously it needs to make an impact on the bottom line within the business as well from a financial point of view.
So you've delivered these different programs to different organizations. Now, obviously, you've been building on this from best practices. You've been building on this from your experience. In your experience, if you were talking to the leader of a small, medium company, what would be your number one piece of relevant?
I think it depends upon the place that they're at, because they're all so different. If it was the case that I was in kind of talking about business and business development side of things, probably the advice would be different to what it is from a point of view of how they're developing the people and what it is that they're doing. And that sliding scale of what the size business actually would be, because some businesses that have maybe got 40 employees or less just really want to make sure that they've got the core fundamentals right, and they just want to steady the ship, make sure everything's okay as they're ready for growth. Other people, and we would encourage people really to be saying, actually, you need to look at that longer term plan, that actually, do you need some kind of what we class as like a fractional HRD role? Do you need someone to come in and help you discuss what your people strategy is if you're going to go from, especially in tech, the likes of the tech sector, go from 40 to 100 in the next 2 years? What are you going to do to make sure that you get there and actually your people are going to help you do it? So look at your recruitment, look at your retention, look at your benefits, look at how it is that you're going to attract the right people and be that employer of choice. So it's kind of, I suppose, advice-wise, a bit difficult because they're all so different in the business-wise of what it would be. But it is really kind of, make your people the focus of what you want to achieve, because they're not just they're not just another entity. They are crucial in being able to make the development and grow your business to be able to take it forward. So
then what's the one thing that you're quite surprised that people don't know that you talk to them about?
With regard to kind of HR side of things, I think it's still that some of the added value can make a difference in the business. I think people just think they just need to get by. People need to come into work and they just need to do a job. And actually, I think people miss the point that people are people. And, when people turn up for work one particular day, you don't know what they've done before they've got to work. You don't know. Well, there was one particular situation recently where the guy's wife was having a mental breakdown. One son had been diagnosed with ADHD, another one had been diagnosed with autism. And the guy was really, really struggling. And he came into work that particular day, didn't present well, kind of having an argument with somebody else. And I think there's so many people just think, well, what they're just turning up to work and cracking on for. But actually, people have got all that baggage. You don't know what somebody's gone before they've turned up on that day. So I think it is treat people with the respect that they deserve, and speak to people. Keep that communication open. Making sure that you're talking all the time, but that you're having open conversations, or there's a place that people can go and speak to, and the facilities are there to be able to support people as and when they need it.
So what's the difference between real HR and good management?
I think it's about kind of what becomes tangible. I think good management is really strong. I think to be able to make sure that you've got the right advice of how it is that you're going to manage situations. And I think, as I said earlier on, that people don't always know what to say and how to say it and how to frame it. And I think you can go into, and there's loads of things on YouTube and places like that where you can go into a situation and they can be very negative, and somebody will just say something as it comes into their mind. But actually, it's kind of how can you make sure that that's done right? That you are treating the people with the respect. I think our business is very much about making sure that people are kind of morally treated right, from a point of view an employer and an employee point of view, if the employee isn't treating the employer right as well, we're all over that. So it's about making sure that equal side of things. So for us, it's very much about the morals. It's very much about consistency. And for us, we always tell people about what a risk is of a situation. So from a transactional point of view, we can say, well, you can do this, but actually this is really high risk to do this, and this might be the consequence of that, but actually these are your lower risk options. So when we talk about real HR, it's because it's something that's tangible that people can understand and make an informed decision within a business as well.
I mean, there are three things that anybody in a business wants to do. One is increase your top line, make more money. Two is increase your bottom line by reducing your costs. And three is managing risk, right?
Yeah.
So the challenge I've always had is that most HR interactions I see in decent-sized organizations are all about the managing the risk to the neglect of reducing costs. And typically most HR interactions cost, and to not with no understanding to increasing revenue. So it's basically you've got a three-legged stool, and a lot of HR professionals think it's a one-legged stool, which is we can't have any risk because it's not a balance. If you can have no risk, you have no growth. If you have no risk, you have no reward. If you have no risk, you have no business, and nobody has a job. So there's no point in having HR. And HR, by the way, human resources, is the wrong way around. You know, the French call it ressources humaines, which is actually just their way of putting it. But I like the R first. They're resources that are human. And I loved when you said that. They're humans. They're people.
Yeah, and they've got the different element. And I think for us, I think the risk element for our business is really important. So I've worked automotive, you know, so it was all about the money, it was all about the scrap, it was all about, you know, kind of what our turnover was. So it was very much around the finances. And then I think having your own business, you want to understand the risk in any of your situations, you know, because obviously growing the business yourself. And, you know, I came into this business as being, I'm really good at HR. But actually now I'm really good at being a business owner, and there are things that I've learned along the way. But I think understanding your risks at each of those stages that you come across is really important. So I think if we advise a business to be able to say, actually, if this is a situation, so another situation that we've got at the moment is someone who's been in a business for 13 months, she's left, she wants to make a claim against the business, she wants £68,000 from them. She's prepared to settle for 35,000 though. So, but for that business, we've kind of like protected the employer there, you know, because actually, who are our clients to say, look, don't raise that grievance because it's only going to upset you, you know, like it's going to put you in turmoil of it. Let us deal with it. Let's take us away. Right, this is what's actually wanted, but this is not our advice at the moment. You know, this is what I would do. Let's take this step. And actually, they can then lean on us because we're so experienced in what it is, and actually we can provide them some comfort of making sure that process is done fairly, it's done in the right way, it's consistent, but actually they feel supported as you know, it's a couple who own the business, you know, they feel supported as a couple from what we can do to help. And we're supporting the employee at the same time. We've done the grievance, we've investigated it, you know, we've listened to their side of the story. But sometimes it's that balance left across both elements of it.
So you've got some good messages you want to share with some of the businesses that you're working with. If there was one core thing that you had the opportunity to share as widely as you possibly could, there's 10,000 billboards that you could plaster with one message, what would it be?
Thinking about this, I think it's got to be around your own personal well-being. So I think it's got to be whether you're a business leader, whether you're, you know, a busy parent, whether you're a senior leader in a business, whatever it is, it's got to be around looking after yourself, because the better you can be in your own personal circumstance, the better that you can be in every other aspect of your life. So I was thinking about it, kind of, I suppose, that nourish your body and nurture your soul. So from the point of view of my journey over the last kind of 12, 18 months has been kind of doing things for me, understanding me more, doing a lot of work around the emotional intelligence, doing the support with regard to things like fasting, kind of losing weight, doing yoga, doing walking. So there's some things that are now inbuilt into my life which are kind of are consistent and they're kind of a must do and kind of a non-negotiable for me, that actually enables me to be of a better, you know, I've got a coach now. I've moved on to a second coach, but I've got a coach now who I've just been on a call with before speaking with you. All those things are kind of underpinning me to be the better version of me and aiming to be the best version of me. But by being able to do that, I can be better at home, at work, kind of, you know, supporting my team, in speaking to people around, you know, the impact. A very small story, well, not a small story for her, but I'd been talking about this at the end of last year, and a friend of mine had been unwell, and she'd said, I'm gonna, you know, you keep harping on, I'm gonna go to the doctors and go and get checked out. Anyway, it turned out she had some stomach issues, but she turned out she had leukemia. So she said, kind of, if you hadn't have been going on about kind of making sure that you look after yourself and going to the doctors to be able to kind of follow up, potentially that leukemia wouldn't have been picked up because she didn't have any of the symptoms, wouldn't have been picked up to a later point. So it's things like that that actually, when you're talking about it, and at a talk the other day, there was a lady messaged me afterwards and said, what you said was so right. I just need to be in that situation where I'm more comfortable. I'm a mom, I'm busy, I'm working, I've got a senior job, but actually I'm now going to go off and find a coach, and I'm going to be able to get someone to help me process everything. Those little things make a difference. Actually, if out then 10,000 billboards, if a couple of people read it and took some notice, then I think that would make a difference, would make more of a difference in life.
Nourish your body and nurture your soul. I do like that. I think as leaders in an organisation, our job is in part at least to help people be the best version of themselves that we can.
Yeah.
So,
and it is. And it's providing, sometimes internal in a business, you can provide those resources to enable it, and they can be simple things like making sure people go out for a walk at lunchtime or something, or kind of, that there's just different activities that are put on for people. There's different engagement things that don't cost a lot, but actually encourage people to look after themselves.
Where can people find you when they need you, Louise?
So we're everywhere. So we've got our website, oculushr.co.uk. So we've got that, which is really good. Kind of search us up on Google. We kind of come up, especially with all of our award entries and wins and things. So we come up on there. But also on LinkedIn. So we've got Oculus HR on LinkedIn, and also myself. So Louise Kennedy, CIPD. Sort of fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personal Development. So that's on there. But we're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We cover all the boards with these things. So we're continuous. But we have got a newsletter, which obviously people can sign up to on the website. So we get that out every month as well. And that's just kind of general updates of things that are taking place, changes to employment law and kind of things that are happening. And then we've got our Real World HR podcast as well. So we'll do a little bit of everything.
Well, we'll put some links into the description below this episode. I'm sure you can find that here. And all that remains for me to say is let's all go out, nurture our bodies, nurture our Louise Kennedy, MD of Oculus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me today.